Awesome. Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Kia ora. I'm joining you from Melbourne, Australia. And today I'm going to talk about various applied research projects in Honiara funded by UN Habitat. And this paper presents a range of participatory nature-based activities that have been shaped by local needs, co-design with communities, as well as supported by technical and scientific knowledge. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge Bunburong and Woiwurrung peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the unceded lands on which I am joining you from, or wherever you are joining from. And we acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. So this is how the presentation, sorry, slide 3. Can you?
Slide.
So slide 2 has acknowledgement and slide 3 now.
Yeah, we're on slide 3.
Yeah, thank you. I'll present a brief overview of multiple projects that are happening since 2019 under the title of Climate Resilient Honiara, led by Professor Darren McAvoy, who is present there. And but this will, so I'll give a very quick overview of various projects, but focus on one particular project, which is nature-based design and implementation in one of the settlements, and some reflections. Next slide, thanks. So Honiara has many challenges, despite it, because of its small scale, they're often overlooked. It's highly urbanizing. Many informal settlements are popping up with poor quality infrastructure, limited road access, and very difficult terrain. Next slide, thanks. So Darren and a few other team members were initially engaged since 2014 and developed this report called HERCAP, assessing the vulnerability and adaptability in Honiara. Since then, the actions that were identified in this report have become multiple projects. And nature-based solution is a core component of the project, and we are working in partnership with many different local authorities. Next slide. So over time, we have engaged with community-based organizations. The top left is Koa Hill community. Top right is also Koa Hill community. Bottom left is nature-based solutions training with women. So there's women's group we are engaged with. And bottom right is people with disabilities organization with whom we worked on multiple occasions, but this photo was for this shelter guide. Next slide, thanks.
Mitthul.
Oh yeah, that's great. So this slide shows the various design studios we did with the local university, Solomon Island National University graduates on nature-based solutions at 3 different sites. Next slide. And simultaneously, my colleagues, Yazid and Atta, they did landscape design studios with their students, and I did design studios with my urban design students, developing understanding of the steep topography and urban greening solutions. Next slide. And these are some of the outputs of Atta's studio's work. Next slide. So going straight into Koa Hill, which is the focus of this presentation. It is as you can see up in the map, that's the whole of Honiara urban boundary, and Koa Hill is noted in there. It is very steep from zero, like sea level, to 80 meters high. And recently, as you can see, the blue patch there was flooded in 2014. So it is prone to riverine flooding, landslide, as well as a lot of flooding from the steep flow of water. Next slide, thanks. Since 2014 flooding, a lot of initiatives were proposed, such as clear settlement areas up to 200 meters from each riverbank by City Council, or Ridge to Reef initiative. They were proposed by World Bank, SPREP, but none of these large-scale initiatives actually took ground. So next slide, thanks. It's so this settlement, Koa Hill, is one of the vulnerability hotspots, and it was identified by us to implement some small-scale piloting of nature-based solutions. So we partnered with a local organized consultancy called Paxol, who worked in collaboration with Custom Garden Association, which is a group of organic farmers around the Pacific, SINU staff and students. So, and they were provided technical assistance from us, the Solomon Waters, and various ministries. So the project had 4 main components. Was to do community workshops in identifying where risks are, where interventions are needed, and what sort of nature-based solution designs are should be piloted. And after the design has been done, there was a bit of requirement to get it approved by the ministries, and the other component was dissemination of understanding of nature-based solutions, knowledge sharing, and skills development. So next slide. A total of 4 priority actions were identified by the communities. And 2 of them can be classified under climate change adaptation, whereas the other 2 potentially under disaster risk reduction. So developing an urban garden and a plant nursery as climate change adaptation. The communities came up with idea of planting bamboos and vetiver grass. However, there is limited vetiver grass available in the surrounding area in Honiara. So they wanted to develop a nursery, which could lead to livelihood in future. The other were flood prevention along riverbank by planting bamboo and vetiver grass, landslide prevention on the top hill of Koa Hill, again by using the same low-cost, locally available grasses, and slope stabilization again in Central Valley community. I'll come to that community aspect in a moment. Next slide, thanks. So there were a few hiccups on the way. In addition to the planned activities, there was an unforeseen earthquake of magnitude 7 Richter scale when Darren and some of my team members were about to land in Honiara, and it required some additional actions. But that was feasible just because of the low cost and flexible funding mechanism that had been established between local partners and RMIT. As you can see in the top left corner, they're cleaning up the site and debris from the earthquake, and which was then followed by some skills training workshop of how to use local bamboo in creating a nursery. Next slide, thanks. So this shows the hands-on workshop on vetiver grass and lemongrass propagation. So it was in excess of 30,000 different plants that they planted. And the site is really steep and then really flat before it hits the river. So that flat site, which usually gets inundated by water in rainy season, they wanted to create a football and a soccer pitch, for also acting as a soaking area when there's too much rain. And that is what was created here as well. Next slide, thanks. So as a reflection to this whole process, it was intentionally designed to be highly participatory. We did not provide a lot of RMIT student designs, because some of them could have been high cost or were at larger scale. Some of the aspects of it were provided when the local agency asked for it. So it was completely community driven. When I said that this area also has a huge socio-cultural layer to it, what I meant was that this whole settlement is informal. As per the government, there are 2 informal zones within Koa Hill. However, community knows that actually there are 4 zones. And these zones are determined by people's affiliation to a church group and their origin island, which mostly it's Malaita. And that overlaid with lack of land title makes it highly complex for any agency to come in and provide any intervention. So some of these communities have never been asked for what interventions they would like. Due to this project led by a local agency, they developed mutual trust over time through multiple workshops. These posters were created, the process was kept transparent, even the money, how much has flown in, was kept transparent, which has led to success of this project and high level of engagement in this project. So we would say that this small scale proof of concept, fail-safe approach, which was embedded on being highly participatory, has shown really positive signs. Next slide. And on reflecting, the second reflection is that once you have that community buy-in, anything is possible. Various other new actions that were required, people were happy to jump in. But the way the funding was also set up allowed a little bit of flexibility of funding for little extra bits here and there when they were identified by the local community. So in a sense, there's a huge awareness about nature-based solutions. There is linkages to livelihood by forming the nursery on site, and it wouldn't have been possible. That's my timer. It wouldn't have been possible without the enthusiasm of local local team. So that shouldn't be undermined. And I finish my presentation here. Thank you.